Hello, and welcome to our All the Mods 10 Mystical Agriculture Ultimate Guide. And of course, we've all seen Mystical Agriculture before, or maybe you haven't. So this guide's going to aim to inform everyone that's never used the mod before how to exactly get started in it, and more specifically, how to get started in it in this pack, as well as a guide on how to use it in this pack, in my opinion, in the best manner or the most efficient manner. So with all that being said and out of the way, let's dive into another episode. So mystical agriculture, as I've said, many of you may know it. For those of you that don't, essentially what it allows you to do is grow these special plants here, which turn into essence, which you can then turn into random items. So, or I mean, obviously not random items, but items that align with the essence. So here's sort of glowstone essence. And if I open this up, you can see it is glowstone essence. We can pop some of this out, and then we can go into our little crafting terminal here, and we can craft, well, obviously various things, but just simply glowstone. So if we put 8 glowstone essence around in a circle, we can get some glowstone dust. So that is essentially the value of this essence, is it allows you to create various materials and resources just by having the essence. And of course you get the essence by growing up the plant. And then harvesting it, which we have this set all up automatically over here. And of course we'll get into this setup and what it all does and how you can replicate it or improve upon it. But first, let's get into the basis of mystical agriculture. So there are a couple blocks that are going to start you out in this and really get you going, because without these 2 ores here, you're not really gonna get anywhere. Now that being said, you can get Inferium essence by slaying mobs, so you don't absolutely have to go find Inferium ore, but it does make the process a little easier just to sort of jumpstart it. And of course this can be found down in caves just by mining. There are deep slate and regular stone versions of it, so it's really not hard to find. Prosperity ore, a little more rare, but definitely crucial. And we're going to get into a little bit of another mod today, just because I think it really benefits mystical agriculture and really speeds up the process here and cuts down on needed automation. So prosperity ore, as I was saying, same thing, can be found underground, and this is kind of what you get whenever you mine it. Now, there are some things that you'll be using the prosperity ore for, such as prosperity ingots and prosperity gemstones, which are really simple to make. If we open this up here, we can see it's just an iron ingot surrounded by prosperity shards. And for the prosperity gemstone, it is simply a diamond. So real basic stuff there. And again, this is going to get you into most of your crafting recipes. First one you'll probably be hitting with this pack is going to be right here, and this is going to be your Inferium seeds, which look basically like this, little green seeds. And this is going to grow your first Inferium plant, which you can kind of see growing up here, and it's just going to give you back more essence. Now the essence is used to essentially continually upgrade into higher essences. So we see here we have Inferium, then Prudentium, Tertium, I think that's Tertium, Imperium, Supremium, and Awakened Supremium. And there's also another one which is kind of on the same level of Awakened Supremium, just like kind of a lateral step, and that's going to be not Creative Essence. Where is it here? Insanium. So Insanium and Awakened Supremium are kind of diverging paths you can take from Supremium. And the way this works is you take your Inferium Essence, which we just talked about, many ways to gather this, and then you can turn this into Prudentium Essence. So you take 4 Inferium, surround a infusion crystal, and then you can get the upgraded version. Now the infusion crystal, made pretty simple. You need some prosperity shards, which is why I said it would be important for you to use and basically essential. Inferium Essence, we already got that, and a diamond. And of course, we all know how to get that. So these do only have 500 uses. So if you open it up here, you can see 500 uses left. If I was to come into here, place that down, surround it with Inferium, theoretically it should take some durability, and there we go, 499 uses left. So what you can do with this is obviously use it 500 times in order to produce 500 prudentium. And then basically you can do the same thing with prudentium to tertium. So if you want to get tertium, 4 things of prudentium surrounding a crystal. Now they have made the crystals a lot easier. Before there was a inferium crystal and a prudentium crystal and a tertium crystal. So there was a crystal for each tier. And they would get better and better and better and have more and more uses. Now I think they've scrapped that idea and just gone with 2 crystals. So you have the infusion crystal, which has 500 uses, and the master infusion crystal, which has unlimited uses. Obviously making this is going to be a higher priority if you plan on just sort of upgrading your essence through that means. That being said, I think there is a better alternative to this, so maybe pump the brakes before you spend quite a bit of Supremium to get this, right? Because whenever you're first getting into Supremium, it's going to take a little bit. Although not as long with the introduction of the other mod that we will get into. So then we move on to nether-based ores and items. So we have soulstone here, which kind of spawns just as like a random cobblestone / netherrack variant, meaning it's just going to be kind of in the stone there, and it's going to look like this brown block down here. You'll smelt it down to get some smooth soulstone, and you can smelt that down to get soul dust, which will be used in crafting recipes. Then we have soulium ore, which can be found within patches of the soulstone. A little hard to see because, I mean, yeah, it's like chocolate chips in a chocolate cookie, you know what I mean? It's just hard to pick out. But you can smelt that down and get soulium dust, so soulium ore into soulium dust, which can, of course, go into various items such as the soulium dagger, which will help you when you're going to fill your soul jars. And we'll get into that here in just a second. So this stuff, the soul stuff, more so has to do with mob farming with mystical agriculture. So you can have a soul gemstone and a soulium ingot, basically the same thing as the prosperity ingot. You just take the prosperity ingot and add some soulium dust, and then this is going to be used in various recipes throughout this mod. So soul is just kind of, like I said, the mob equivalent of what you'll be using in this pack. That being said, there are some things within this mod that I'm either I won't cover or I'll cover very briefly because it's simply, in my opinion, not very useful or effective, or I'm not currently using it. It's not to say that you can't find uses for it, just simply that I don't have any use for it. So we have our basic essences out of the way, and same thing with the rest of these ingots. They're made exactly as the soulium is. So if you take a prosperity ingot, then you add whatever tier essence, you get that tier ingot. And that'll, of course, come in useful later on whenever you're going to repair your armor or crafting various upgrades, crafting your tools and armor, right? But that's essentially all it's really used for. You can make various items, mostly equipment. Actually, now that I'm looking at it, basically all equipment. And that's how you're going to, obviously improve your armor and all that kind of stuff. Me personally, I have the direwolf set on, and that's just because I made this before mystical agriculture was even added into this mod pack. So I didn't have the option basically of going with the mystical agriculture armor, but we are going to get into the equipment and how that all works. So for the prosperity shards, most of the time you'll be making prosperity seed base. This is where it's really going to kind of hit you heavy on the prosperity shards, and that's because you'll need the seed base in order to make all of your other seeds. So copper seeds, fluke seeds, basically all of them. If I'm not mistaken, probably is all of them actually. So yeah, you'll need a lot of prosperity shards, long story short. Then we get into how do you actually craft in mystical agriculture? How do you do the recipes? And that's where the infusion altar and the infusion pedestal come in. Both recipes fairly simple, just requiring gold, some kind of stone variant, and some red wool. And again, same there. And then it's basically just as you see it in the crafting diagram. So that's probably a bad one because it's not very color oriented. Here we go. So if we wanted to get the fire seeds, which gives us the fire elemental essence here, which can then be used to make tuff and sand, red sand, all kind of stuff, right? So fire essence, if we want to make this, we'll need 4 inferium essence, 1 prosperity seed base, and 4 fire agglomeration. Look, I'm not good with these bigger words that seem honestly made up. But you can get this by combining various things, and this is going to be the same for all of the elemental essences. So if we take a look at air, we're going to need some air agglomeratio or whatever the hell it's called. And again, here's the recipe. So you just need to make this 4 times, and then you can have your seed, which will get you off to the races with getting more air essence. Same thing with earth and so on and so forth. Most of the essences won't require that. They'll just require the item that you're looking for. So if you look at wood and you come into here, you'll need some dark oak logs, some inferium essence, and a prosperity seed base. If you want, trying to find a more normal one. Okay, here's lapis, right? Then you need some lapis. Imperium essence. So the tier kind of changes as the rarity of it changes. So if we look at diamond, now we're into supremium essence that's required. And so this is where you're going to need the various tiers, right? Because you can't just take tier 1 and go make a bunch of diamond seeds. That would be too easy. And then some of them, like nether star essence, will actually require a bit more work to it. And obviously we're getting into insanium and needing nether stars and all that kind of stuff. So we'll go over that as well. But the base for most of the crafting is just putting it into, oh, apparently appetite don't have seeds. It's basically just putting it into the infusion crafting system. So let's take a look at this real quick. We'll take, we'll need 4 of these. I'll need some prosperity seeds. And I mean, it doesn't really matter what we do. If we have dark oak, we do have some dark oak. So let's just take that over there. And obviously I already have the wood essence being made here, but just for demonstration's sake, let's show it off anyways. So what you'll do is just like in the crafting recipe there, right? If we pull this up, let's see, what would be the easiest way? Probably just pull this up. Then find this. Okay. So for wood, we need the inferium essence on the cardinal directions and the dark oak logs on the diagonals. So let's go ahead and do that. 1. It makes this satisfying little popping sound, which is really nice. And you put your seed base in the middle. Now there are 2 ways to activate the altar here. Excuse me, sorry, a little bit of cough. You can either provide it with a redstone signal, which is what many of us are used to. However, there's also a new item, or newish item, that's in Mystical Agriculture that'll allow you to do this as well, and perhaps feel more like a wizard. So you take this wand. The wand is made just with some inferium essence, a stick, and various stones. And then you just give it a little right click. So you can either press the button and it would have done the same thing, or you just give it a right click with the wand. And there you go, you have wood seeds. It's that simple. You go plant it down into the earth and it will give you wood essence. Now there are levels to this stuff as per all of life, right? So let's take a hoe and let's go right on down to the water. So I can throw this in and you can see here it has an inferium output of 100%, tier of 1, and a growth of 0%. And obviously the growth will change as it grows. And these are wood seeds. So the inferium output refers specifically to inferium seeds. You won't see that inferium output with most other seeds because it's simply telling you how much inferium you're going to gain based on the soil that's underneath it. So what do I mean by this? Well, in Mystical Agriculture, you can actually enhance various farmland. So let's go Mystical, and let's just take out some Supremium and Prudentium. So what this does is essentially for all plants, for all seeds, regardless if it's inferium or another various, material seed, it does increase the speed that it grows. So right now we're sitting at 0, both of them going really, really slow. If I slap this on, theoretically, it should be growing faster as long as there's no bugs in the mod pack or bugs in the mod, yada, yada, yada. So if we just leave these 2 sitting, this one should grow up faster, given, the random ticks on this one don't just hit insanely luckily. Yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying. So yeah, theoretically, this one should begin to grow faster with that Supremium addition. Now, if we add Supremium to this one, we're going to see that the Inferium output is now up to 300%, which basically means you're just going to get 3 times the drops every time you farm this. Now, you'll notice these are still growing really slow, even though we have the good essence underneath, and sometimes the essence is required, I believe, in order to grow certain tiers. It's still going really, really slow. So we'll get into methods on how we can speed this up, how I've actually got mine growing so fast and in such high volume. But for right now, let's just continue on with explaining the rest of the mod. So moving on down with soul stuff, there are going to be various recipes you'll need it for, such as soul glass in order to make your soul jars. Soul jars are used in large majority once you've gathered the correct material, which we'll get into, in order to give you the animal seeds or the mob seeds. That way you can go and find it here. Actually get their essence to create their material. So obviously with cow essence, you can get milk buckets, raw beef, and leather. And then if you go with pig essence, you can get raw pork chops. So it's exactly as you would imagine it to be. And of course, with pig essence, you're going to need a soul jar that's filled with pig. Now, this is where the Solium and the Solium dagger come back into play. With the come here, you. With the Solium dagger, what you can do is have some soul jars in your inventory. And as you can see here, this one's kind of already been tested on. This soul jar has chicken in it. If I hover over it, you'll see chicken, 6 of 8. Basically, you need full soul jars in order to craft with them. So this chicken jar, once I get it all the way up to 8 of 8, and I get 4 of them, then I can craft chicken seeds. Now, what you do is just leave the soul jar in your inventory, go find a willing participant, hi Mr. Chicken, and give him a little smack on the head. Now, if I come back into the soul jar, you'll see it says 7 of 8. So total, I'll need to end up slaying, slaughtering, massacring, saying night to 32 chickens in order to get these 4 soul jars filled. And that goes for most mobs. I don't really know of one that gives you more, but if you do, comment it down below. So yeah, you just continuously go around, you'll find the mobs, you'll slay them, or if you want to set up some kind of like chicken contraption that, you know, just keeps them boxed in, I suppose you could do that too. Get a lot of eggs and go on a spree there. But anyways, let's come on back down. We'll finish this one off just for the sake of having one that has 8 of 8. And you can kind of see visually also, this one kind of has a white tint to it for chicken. And this one is completely empty. Now that's, you know, like I said, literally just used for crafting materials. Crafting up the seeds to get you the essence to where you never have to slay another chicken again. So really, after you slay 32, you can become 100% humane. In my eyes, that's probably worth it. Next up, let's take a look at the crafting of the machine frame, which is pretty simple. Again, stone, redstone, some iron, and you're off to the races. So what you can do with the machine frame is obviously make the various machines in mystical agriculture. You have the furnace, which I don't know why you would really use this. Obviously you can upgrade it, so maybe it's for a speed type thing, right? Fuel usage, fuel capacity. Yeah, so basically just to have a quicker furnace. I typically don't make these because I go with iron furnaces, which is also in the pack and a bit more simplistic. But if you do want to go for this, I mean, by all means, you can throw this in here, get your furnace out, and maybe this will be a good little test because the furnace is pretty universal in what it does, right? So you have the furnace, you have the fuel, and you have the upgrade slot here. Let's throw some various stuff into, let's see, that'll work. All right, so if I throw some logs in here and we get some coal, is this coal? Nope, that's skystone. I don't have coal over here yet. What a shame, what a shame. All right, so let's get some coal. If I were to throw in a piece of this, it's gonna do just like what you think and smelt the acacia log down. Then from that, okay, I'm getting a lot of quests over here. Every time the mod pack updates, I basically get to go through and recomplete all the quests that I've already completed, which is really fun, really nice. I get tons of free experience for it. So back to mystical. you see it runs at basically a normal speed. If I was to go to the inferior machine upgrade, it would increase this operational speed and the fuel usage. So let me see if I can do this real quick. What are we missing? 4 of these. 2, 3, 4. The base. There it is. And then I'm probably going to need, yeah, some ingots, which require at least 4 more of these. So let's go ahead and get, I don't know, 20. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then for this one, we'll need 4. Really, I should probably make, I don't know, it's fine. This one, 4. And we'll just see basically how we can get with what we have. 3, 4. And it looks like we'll be able to get all the way to Supremium. Cool. So now if I throw this back in here, we can upgrade this machine. Upgrade. And before we do that, let's just throw it in here so we can see basically the speed of it. So here's tier 1 upgrade. A little bit faster. I think it does burn through the fuel a little bit quicker as well. Oh, it actually provides FE to the machine. Interesting. So could you theoretically export this power? If somebody knows, please comment it down below. I didn't know that the furnace actually produced FE, which obviously it's taking the FE back in to smelt the items. So maybe not the most efficient generator. But off of 1 piece of coal, are we going to get 8? Probably not, because the fuel usage is 2x, right? So we should get just 4, and then it stops. Right on. Now, we can take this machine upgrade, obviously, and run it back through the mill. We'll upgrade it to Prudentium, and this would make the fuel usage at 4x and fuel capacity at 3x. And we can basically just keep doing it. But obviously, this is going to make your fuel consumption just go through the roof, because we're at 6x now. Upgraded again. We're at 16x. Let's see. And finally, we get to 48 times the fuel. So if I throw this in here, take the charcoal out. If I just put 1 piece in there, well, we got 7. I think that's due to how quickly the operational speed is comparative to the fuel usage. So if I put in, what is that? 5 should theoretically finish most of this stack if it was on a normal sort of craft, right? Although this also has half the recipe kind of already done up because it does have some fuel still in there. So let's see what we can get with 5 coal. We get a grand total smelted down 33. So it is less fuel efficient than just using a normal furnace, but it goes a hell of a lot faster, as you've probably seen. And obviously you can upgrade this again to get to the awakened one, which has a 200x operational speed. And if you're wondering, Chance, I don't see any awakened premium currently. I don't know of a good way to get it in the mod pack. I'll just be real with you. The enchanter is typically how you would go about getting the enchantment that you need specifically for this, because if you take a look at your awakened premium, basically you have to go through this crafting recipe here, which is by having all of the essences, all the elemental essences. Cool, we have that Supremium block, have tons of Supremium. This cognizant dust, however, dropped by the Wither and the Ender Dragon when killed with an essence weapon enchanted with mystical enlightenment. Essence weapons, not hard. I have a big old red sword down there. I have a Solium dagger, so obviously I can get into whatever weapons we need here. However, the mystical enchantment... Okay, didn't need the enchanter. Where is this book at? It might actually be easier if I just go into the mystical enchantment, because we already have the recipe set up here. But as you see, it's not working. None of the recipes for this actually work, which is obviously a little disheartening, but it's supposedly a good way of getting exactly what you want for enchantments, right? You just put in whatever item input it's telling you, and you get the item output out. So for this, it says if we put in 8 emeralds, 64 experience essence, a book, then we should get the looting. But if we come over here and we grab out some emeralds, even a full stack. So let's get the 4 that we need, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Throw it up here, nothing. So I think the enchanter is currently broken, so I can't really, you know, select for that one enchantment. I have tried to get it just through an enchanting table, but I've not been lucky. So yeah, as far as awakened stuff goes, I guess you just go back to the enchanting table and hope that it's actually in there, not bugged. Anyways, moving on, we're going to go to the equipment. Now, once you get to Supremium equipment, it actually gets this Unbreakable tag, which is really, really nice. You can see Imperium, no Unbreakable tag, Supremium, Unbreakable. So if you want to get some tools and items that are literally indestructible, this is going to be the route for you. And to craft these various things, it's all fairly simple and very similar to the rest of the mod pack. So in order to upgrade through the tiers, let's say we wanted to go for a chest piece, start out with, you're going to start with diamond and surround that with inferium. So inferium gemstones, inferium ingots. And this is where, again, you're going to need a lot of prosperity shards, because for every one of these, you're going to need 4 prosperity shards, right? That's for every ingot. Now this starts out with 8 armor, 2 toughness, but it also has an augment. And this is where we've not really talked about augments, but they essentially do exactly what they tell you they do down here. And that's the best way I can describe them. There is also, by the way, a Mystical Agriculture wiki. So if I miss anything, misinterpret, misspeak, there's a wiki that can sort it all out. And it's a very good wiki. It's not like some of these mod wikis, and I'm not throwing shade, I'm just saying some, you know, have been around for longer and have had the time to really flesh out a wiki, and some still use GitHub, and GitHub's fine for a wiki source sometimes it's, you know, just a little hard to maneuver if you weren't the one that set up the GitHub and you don't really know the author's flow. Anyways, long story short, just read it and it's going to tell you what it does. So the luck augment grants luck, increases the probability of various things such as catching better loot when you're fishing, all that kind of stuff. Health boost increases maximum health by 2 hearts. And you can see this is health boost 1. You can also upgrade it to health boost 2 and increase maximum health by 4 hearts. Health boost 3, increase maximum health by 6 hearts. Health boost 4. And so, like I said, there is very much the same sort of upgrading system to this as there is with anything else. You just keep on going. And with this, you'll be using the infusion crafting. So for whatever one of these augments you need, you'll go to the infusing crafting, just as we did earlier, and just input whatever items it's telling you here, as well as the essence. So it's really not difficult. And obviously each piece kind of tells you how many augments it can have on it. Most of them, I'll give you a little spoiler, it's only 1. And the Paxils can't have any. That's really surprising. Can the swords have any? Yeah, your other weapons can. So I don't know why you would go with a Paxil then if you can't have any augments. And once you get here, you're really gonna want the augments, right? Anyways, whenever you get up to the Awakened Supremium, you do get 2 augment slots per feature, I suppose. And you also get apparently a set bonus of plant growth AoE, which is nice, I guess. It just kind of helps when you're near your plants. But you'll also notice that the armor and the toughness values go up. So here it goes 8 and 2 to 8 and 2.25, 9 and 2.5, and so on and so forth. So most of the upgrading in this mod is linearly. So difficult for me to say. So you take Prudentium to Tertium to Imperium, and so on and so forth. So really the whole basis of what you want to do is you want to get as much of this basic essence as possible and craft it up, right? Up in the tiers, up. And so that's why typically you would say, yeah, I want a Master Infusion Crystal. However, All the Mods 10 has another mod in it that makes jumping through this process a lot faster and a lot easier. And so this is where we're going to come into Productive Bees. Now, Productive Bees, as some of you may know, Productive is basically another mod that allows for resource generation. Now, personally, oh goodness, forget, there's Productive Bees and there's Productive Trees in this. So you typically just search at bees to get to Productive Bees. Anyways, This is a great way of generating resources as well. Essentially what you do is you take the bee, you put it into a beehive, it generates a comb of that type of resource, and then you can go put that into a centrifuge to get back raw material. I'm not going to go through all this because this isn't a productive bees video, this is a mystical agriculture video. But they do overlay in the fact that, well, you have bees that associate with mystical agriculture. So right here we have a supremium bee. To acquire this bee, look up the crafting recipe for its spawn egg. This species of bees can't breed amongst themselves, which is pretty important to note. So if we type in supremium, here we have the spawn egg. And basically you can get this through the infusion crafting, taking an Imperium bee egg, and just like everything else, upgrading it. Obviously you're going to need a lot of supremium for this, but once you have the Imperium bee egg, it kind of becomes easier. So the way that you start this out is we come all the way back down to the Inferium, which you need the Prospera bee spawn egg, which if you couldn't guess, yes, gives you the Prosperity shards. So let's go over to the Prospera bee. Here we are. Cute little thing. And if you want to get it, you just need the crystalline bee and you right click it with a prosperity block. Now, obviously you're saying, Chance, this is a lot. And so, yeah, if you don't want to do this, essentially what you can do is set up a system, which I will show you here in just a second, for farming a whole lot of Inferium essence. And then you can just throw it into an auto crafter or whatever to make that process work. However, if you're already in productive bees, this is an excellent way of really expediting the process. So you take your crystalline bee, which you can get from quartz in a quartz nest in the nether and all that. So we've been through all this, right? If you want to know how to do productive bees, go back and watch previous videos in the series. Anyways, to make the Prospera bee, you take a block of prosperity. So you're going to have to go find some prosperity shards in the world, slap that onto a crystalline bee, and voila, you have your Prospera bee. Now, again, these bees can't breed amongst themselves, so just go get yourselves a couple blocks of prosperity. Go ahead and make 5 bees and send them all into a beehive. What this is going to allow you to do is, of course, make prosperity shards. Fantastic. Now we have bees that do it, and I don't have to go out and farm it myself. I don't have to go on these random adventures to keep finding more and more and more prosperity shards, because it's one of the only things in mystical agriculture that you can't really reproduce. There's no recipe for this within mystical agriculture. So if we sidestep mystical and we come over to productive bees, well, voila, now we have a way of producing prosperity shards without having to go mining for however many days or hours or whatever. This is my preferred method, and you're going to need some of these Prospera bees. So, like, get extra, right? Get 5 for your prosperity shard farm, and then get 5 more so you can get these spawn eggs. Now, the way that you get a spawn egg in productive bees, I'll go through this really, really quickly and really, really simply, because, again, we've already been through this. But it is an important note in this cycle and this process. So what you can do, and cool, I actually already have some. So this is a blazing crystal spawn egg, which goes with Powa, or let's just use emerald because it's vanilla, right? What you can do with the spawn egg is you can right click it down and it will spawn a bee. First, let me get a bee cage. So boom. Oh, and look at him, he's so cute. You can pick up the bee with a bee cage, and what I recommend is you get a bottler, put some bottles in it. We are down to 1 bottle in our bottler. That is scary. Because then if I kill the bee and it's in there, it's just not going to do anything. It's just going to die. All right, so let's take some more bottles. So you put some regular glass bottles in the bottler, and then what you want to do is you want to put your bee on there and smash it. Shit, I was too slow. This happens sometimes. You just want to put it and smash. Okay. Do I need to get a bigger bee? Are you making me look like a fool here? Place bee, smash. What is your problem? There we go. You heard the sound. You get the little squashed bee material out of it. Then you can take it over to a centrifuge, separate this bad boy back out. And what you're going to get is this gene sample, right? It's going to be the pink one. It's always going to be the pink one, okay? The rest of this stuff doesn't matter for right now. You can use it if you want to. You can go into, like, that's a whole different topic. What this gene sample allows you to do is to take some honey treat. combine it together, and you see it says type emerald. Then if we put this into a baby incubator with some eggs, give it some time. Obviously, I have speed upgrades in here to make this take less time, because you could imagine if I have if I have 4 speed upgrades now and it's taking 20 seconds or whatever it is, 15, 20 seconds. Obviously, it's probably going to take a bit longer if you don't have any speed upgrades. But essentially, this is going to give us the spawn egg right back. So what did this prove? This proves that we can take a spawn egg, get the bee, use the bee to create resources, and then ultimately smash the bee back down into a spawn egg with 0 loss, right? So we had the emerald bee, we spawned it up, we smashed it, then we basically recreated the spawn egg. So at a net loss of 0. Now this is going to be very important, because the methodology that I'm going to tell you about is basically to do the same thing with the mystical agriculture bees, right? So if we take this Prospera bee, well, let me find the spawn egg for it, because I think that would actually be easier. Prospera bee, spawn egg. So if we take a look at this, we can use it to create an Inferium bee. Cool. Just requires some Inferium essence, and obviously the bees produce this at a passive rate. Now, I don't really recommend using this to create an Inferium bee, because what you're going to want to do is just turn around and turn it into a Prudentium spawn egg. But what you can do is build this, bee up as high as you can go. So let's say Prudentium, or maybe even you go as far as making Tertium, just by finding sheer tons of Inferium essence and combining it all together. You got enough essence to get yourself up to the Tertium bee. So obviously you'd have to get the Inferium spawn egg just by taking the Prosperity bee, surrounding it. Then you take what you got, surrounding it in Prudentium, and then you take what you got and surrounding it in Tertium. But then you run out of essence. You're like, oh man, this is as high as I can go. Cool. Take that bee spawn egg, take the Tertium bee spawn egg, and then just mash it down. Put it in a beehive. Because what it's going to do is it's going to create, well, I guess the best way for me to do this, Tertium. What it's going to do is it's going to create Tertium combs, which you can then turn into Tertium essence. So now, instead of producing Inferium essence, which it takes, what if it takes 4 Inferium essence to make 1 Prudentium, and it takes 4 Prudentium to make 1 Tertium, you need 16 Inferium to make 1 Tertium. So now your bees are making 16 Inferium essence every time they get milked, or whatever you want to call it, make their honey. Maybe get milked was a bad verbiage for that, but you get the point. Every time that bee produces a material, well, now it's making 16, what is this called? Inferium essence, right? And basically you just continue that process. So once you have enough Tertium from letting the bee sort of do its work, and you can always build up a little bit extra, if you want to. And this is why I say get 5, because you'll want to make 5 Tertium bee spawn eggs, which means, yeah, you're going to need a lot of Tertium. So maybe you only get as high as Prudentium. So you make 5 Prudentium bee spawn eggs. Cool. Now you have 5 Prudentium bees making 4 times the amount that the Inferium bee made. Once you get enough Prudentium, cool, you upgraded. Now you have Tertium. 5 Tertium bees pumping out, a ton of material. It's really going to boost you up. You take that, turn it into Imperium. And now what? If it takes 16 to make a Tertium, then it takes 64 to make Imperium. So now you're making 64 Inferium essence every time one of these bees lays its honey. All right, go on up. Now we're at Supremium. So 64 times 4 is, I don't know the quick math on that, like 256 or something. So obviously now you're making 256 Inferium for every single bee operation. And if you did what I said and you have 5 bees, then you end up with something kind of like this. So we have 5 Supremium bees. We have the upgrade, the simulator, so that way basically they just don't pop out of the hive. We have something that upgrades it to where they make honeycombs, which just increases the production even more, so you don't have to worry about that really. But then we just have some speed upgrades, some time upgrades, and yeah, they just pump through. You will need a block of Supremium for their feeding slab. That's an important note. And then basically you'll just want to pump their product straight into a centrifuge, which we have here. They're just obviously not currently making any combs. But then as you can see, I mean, I have 657 Inferium and or what is this, Premium? And I can promise you we didn't start with that number. So we're going to leave that there. We'll see what we get to by the end of this video. We'll come back and check it. We're at the roughly 40-minute mark for me recording. So we'll see how much raw time actually goes in and what we get back out of it. But essentially, that's my key for skipping all this. Because once you have the Tertium B spawn egg and you've made a turn of Tertium and now you're ready to upgrade, well, just take that Tertium B that you have, put it in a little B cage just like I showed you, go over there, smash it down, and you get the spawn egg right back. So you don't have to make 5 Tertium spawn eggs, and then 5 more for Imperium, and then 5 more for Supremium. You just make 5 and then recycle them, right? Upgrade them and recycle them. As you get more materials, upgrade and recycle. And yes, you can take this into Insanium. You can also take this into Awakened. Now, I've not taken it into Insanium for literally no reason. Obviously, I think I have enough materials to afford this and to fund this. It's just a matter of being lazy and having more stuff going on in life. So don't discount me, hopefully, for that. But yeah, that's basically going to be how I would recommend you to get really deep into Supremium, because obviously when you have 5 Bs pumping out 256 Inferium, it's going to be a bit faster than if you just have this. Now, obviously, you could set up a whole lot of Inferium seeds and growth them and add the little growth accelerators beneath them, which we're about to get into. And like, yeah, you could equal it out. But for me, the simplicity, since I was already in productive bees, just made tons of sense to make the bee spawn egg and just kind of upgrade it, smash it, upgrade it, smash it, upgrade it, smash it. If you're not into productive bees yet, then again, what I'm about to show you is probably going to be your best bet. Anyways, so let's get into the equipment now and how you actually get these attunements on here. You have something called the tinkering table, which is not an expensive... Oh, is this set to... Yeah, set to off. Which is not a very expensive craft at all. Literally just stone and some solium dust. And what you can do is you can basically apply the attunements that we were looking at earlier. So every attunement starts out as an unattuned augment. I keep calling them attunements. They're augments, Chance. They're augments. Anyways, every augment starts out as an unattuned augment, using the recipe there. And then, same as always, you just infuse it. Then, if you want to add it onto your weapon or your tool or whatever, put your weapon in, put the augment in, and boom, pick it up. Now it's a strength 1. Then if you want to take it off, you place it in, pull it out, and you're good to go. So now this sword hits with 29 attack damage. If I pull this out, is it going to update it? Yeah, now it only has 24 attack damage. So that's pretty nifty. And again, the sword is indestructible because it is Supremium, so it's a pretty good hack and slashing machine. The enchanter, as I already said, it's not working right now, so it's kind of MIA. And then finally we come to these growth accelerators. Let's pick these bad boys up. Essentially, the growth accelerators do exactly what you would expect them to, and they accelerate the growth of the plant on top of them. So what this kind of looks like from an X-ray side is something like this, where you have the farmland, and then you have just a ton of growth accelerators all down beneath it. Now, the way that these works is, of course, in tiers once again. So, mystical, and we can see we have an Inferium growth accelerator. This says grows the plant above it faster, range 9 blocks. So essentially I could have 9 of these Inferium growth accelerators stacked, just as what you saw with these Imperium ones. Now if we move up to Prudentium, it says range 18 blocks. So we can have 18 of these stacked down. 27, 36, 45, and all the way up to 54. Now, I am only using the Imperium ones, even though there are 2 tiers higher. We already explained why we're not into Awakened yet. And Supremium, well, I just didn't have the Supremium output that I currently have in order to make a ton of these. And if you think about it, jumping from 36 blocks for each plant to 45 is 9 additional blocks for each plant. So that can really add up, and especially since Supremium is 4 times the amount of Inferium essence, now you're looking at like 36 times the amount of resources to sort of make these growth accelerators as opposed to the Imperium ones. So do what's in your budget, what makes sense. For me, the Imperium growth accelerators, they grow the essence stuff fast enough with the assistance of the growth accelerator from Applied Energistics 2, which we'll get into. That, yeah, I don't really need to. You see, they're coming in quick enough. I hardly ever use these materials. We're up to 5K on a lot of them. And these are sort of the earlier ones, right? And so, yeah, it works really, really well. And it's basically just using those two simple features. So we have the growth accelerator and the growth accelerator, right? Pretty nice. Now, the Applied Energistics 2 growth accelerator is going to require some power, but essentially it will accelerate the growth of any plant that's within its like immediate adjacency. So within the surrounding 4 blocks, right? So that being said, we basically just have a whole line up here of all the essences and all the seeds. In the middle, you can't see it, but inside this block here, there's water. So let's see. I was to break this. Boom, water. So that's how everything's kind of staying soaked and soiled and all that, whatever. Then to harvest it, we're not actually using the harvester from mystical agriculture because I think it's actually inefficient. I think it takes too much fuel cost and all that, especially given we have pylons in all the mods 10. So these pylons, depending, inventory is full. Must be for a specific plant, but it looks like they're all being harvested. So I'm not sure which one over here. Oh, maybe some of them are full. That's fine. So it's still harvesting the rest. But basically this harvester pylon, you can change the dimensions it works on, 3x3, 5x5, 7x7, 9x9. It doesn't require any fuel input. All it really takes is a hoe. Now, that being said, if this hoe has durability, such as a diamond hoe, what you'll notice is as it's going through and smashing these things down, it's actually going to take durability loss. Now, obviously, it's a diamond one, so it's going to take quite a bit of time to hit it, right, to actually cause some visible damage. But yeah, that's how we have this netherite hoe here that has so much damage taken out of it because we just left it in here. And there you go. You can actually see the durability on it dropping. A good way to counteract this is to put an unbreakable hoe in here. Sorry. So a supremium hoe will work as it's unbreakable. This being said, if you have a powered hoe, like from Dire things, right? So we have the Eclipse alloy hoe here, and you see this uses forge energy. This hoe uses forge energy in order to operate. If you place this in and it starts going through, it's going to start taking energy. So it's not going to break the hoe, but it will take energy out. Now we have some not so nice friends coming to play. Let's go to sleep real quick, and then we'll hop back over there. So yes, all this is done in my survival world. That should be, I guess, a key little note. So everything that you see has been done. It is being done. You know what I mean? So it's definitely possible, probable, yada yada yada. Anyways, so that's basically why I don't use the harvester from Mystical, because I think this one it's so much better. If you have a powered hoe, you can see it's really doesn't go through power that often. And once you get up enough supremium and you can make a supremium hoe, then you never have to worry about it again. You just place the hoe in there and it'll work indefinitely for free. Free. Anyways, the organization system that I have working for this is directly above the harvester pylon. You generally need a chest or a storage system of some type. So I have a storage controller, which is then linked to all these storage drawers over here. So every time it gets in essence or seeds or whatever, it's just shipping it over. Now they're all locked, so that way some random essences don't end up in random drawers or whatever, overflow. But yeah, that's essentially how it works. Then in order to get it into my AE2 system, so I can access all of my essences right here, right? Easily, beautifully, in auto crafting manner, right? If I wanted to. We have a wireless connector from Extended AE going into an EME storage bus, and that obviously has some power coming from an Ender gate. You can hook this directly up to your system. You can organize it however you want, throw it into chests, barrels, it doesn't matter. But this is what I found to be a very nice setup as far as getting it into your system, not being very costly with energy, and being very space efficient. So off of this one singular pylon here, we can actually house, I think it's 48 different growth spots, all of which get hit by at least 2 growth accelerators, and all of which can have the maximum amount of growth accelerators underneath. If I wanted to upgrade these, I can of course come back down at any time. And if you want to do that, a gadget that will really help is the exchanging gadget, because I mean, pretty much as its name implies, you can select a block and then go and exchange it. Now, obviously, this makes replacing all these a lot simpler. We're not going to do that, but that is how you would do it if you wanted to upgrade. And then, of course, you just go down deeper and keep building on, right? For me, I think Imperium is more than enough. So yeah, this is why I say that this is the most efficient, because you're getting basically the setup here allows for, I think it's 48 seeds, and there may be 96 seeds total in Mystical Agriculture, or this allows for 24 and there's 48 seeds total in Mystical Agriculture. I don't know, you know, sometimes I get it backwards. But the setup would require 2 of these in order to get every single seed in Mystical Agriculture growing and going at a good, sufficient rate that you're never going to run out. You're never going to worry about if it's fast enough. And honestly, this may be a little too fast. Like, I probably didn't even need to do all this, you know, didn't need the Imperium down here. Probably could have settled for Prudentium or whatever. But the system works and it grows things at a rate that I am happy with. So find that rate for you. If it's using all Supremium and building up a massive wall, or even Awakened Supremium once we can get that, then like more power to you. But as far as efficiency's sake of me spending time to get something that I think is worthwhile, this is well, the best setup that I could come up with. So again, this can house quite a lot of seeds, so much so that I've not even used it all, and we have a ton of materials already being pumped out. And if we take a look back at the seeds that we planted at the beginning of the episode, well, they're still not all the way grown up. So that's going to be a problem if you're looking for actual resource generation, because yeah, this stuff takes forever, naturally. Now, that being said, there is another item in Mystical Agriculture that you can actually use, and that is going to be the watering can. Theoretically, supposedly, this will speed up the growth, and as you can see, ooh, just a couple seconds after using it, and this thing has grown up fully. Break it, plant it, because for some reason it's not letting me right click, and then yeah, you can just keep on going and growing. And it does work, obviously. Well, at least on the Inferium. What seeds I don't know. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so yeah, this is a method, but you're constantly holding down right click, or you're constantly finding a way to spread these particles into your world, right? And yes, you can upgrade the watering can to be bigger and better and so on and so forth. So this can be another way of you watering your crops. However, I've not really found a great way, or at least if it was working, it didn't appear to be, to use this watering can to, you know, water all your crops. But yes, theoretically, it is another way that you could speed up crop production over here. And obviously, if you have a big old 13 by 13, you can do it on quite a large area. And it does help. It definitely helps. That being said, again, I think our production is pretty fine. So this is one of those blocks that's like, or items where I'm like, yeah, I mean, it has a use, but you don't really need it in this mod. So all that being said, I think that's pretty much it with Mystical Agriculture. Here's an example of basically what I would consider damn near the best growth setup. Obviously, you can swap this out with Awakened Supremium, but this is the Supremium Growth Accelerator all the way down. And we have it surrounded on 4 sides by growth accelerators. So this is really sort of pumping out the most. And I guess if I was to take my watering can, this would kind of be the maximum growth you could really get from something, right? So not insane, and I'm sure you could increase this a bit more in the here's and there's and get it going, you know, pretty freaking quickly. But it's going to be a lot of effort to make just one plant grow faster. And especially since from this, I mean, what's our output? We're getting 3 times the amount of Inferium. That's nothing compared to the bees where we're getting 256 times, right? Because one supremium bee, as soon as it makes one supremium essence, that is 256 inferium essence. Now, I don't know about you, but that's pretty good, especially since I have mine set up on the comb block. So actually, every time one of those supremium bees produces resource, it's going to produce a comb block, which has a chance to produce 4 supremium essence. That's 4 times 256. So now we're into the thousands of inferium generated every time a single bee produces whatever, produces its honey, which is pretty frequently with all the upgrades we have in there. So yeah, I recommend going through productive bees because, I mean, you can go with this and get 1,000 inferium, or you can go with this and get like, I don't know, 9, 10, 12, something like that. I'm just saying, I think one's more efficient, right? You're getting a bit more bang for your buck, so to speak. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, and with that being said, that's the basis of all of mystical agriculture that you'll really need to get into and get started. Again, there's a wiki that goes further in depth into everything that I talked about here today, at least as far as pertaining to mystical agriculture, not so much the All the Mods 10 sort of loopholes and additions and all that kind of stuff. But if you did enjoy, please be sure to leave a like down below, comment in the comment section if you have anything additional you would like to add or additional questions that you're like, you know what, I don't feel like going to the wiki. Maybe could you just clarify this 1 or 2 bits? And of course, I'll try to get back to you. If you're new here and you enjoy the content, consider dropping a subscribe so that way you don't miss more awesome content from yours truly. I do hope you share this out with friends, family, strangers down the road, random people that you meet at the supermarket, that one guy that came up and high-fived you after the Super Bowl, just share it out if you want to. There are a couple things, obviously, that we didn't get all the way into, such as like the coal, but this is literally just better coal. You just take the essence and combine it with coal to make better and better and better coal, okay? Apples. You just combine it with apples to make better and better and better apples. So some things that I thought were like pretty obvious, we didn't go over. Some things that aren't technically part of mystical agriculture, such as the cruxes, we didn't go over. A real quick rundown on the crux, though, is you just have to place this beneath the farmland if you want to grow top tier seeds. So if you're looking to get Nether Star Essence, you're going to need a Nether Star Crux. And it works the same way as like the growth accelerators. You just place it underneath the dirt on top, and seeds in. And there's not a whole lot that do that. So you'll need it for the Nether Star, for the Dragon Egg, and for the Nitro. And I think that's it. So thanks again, everybody, for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. Again, if I missed anything that seemed more important, more pertinent, comment it down below so other people may see it, read it, discover it, learn it, yada, yada, yada. As per the usual, I do hope you all stay safe, stay awesome, and stay crafting. And for any of those of you wondering what happened to this All the Mods 10 world, I essentially decided that I'm no longer going to do it as like a Let's Play series, but more of like a mod guide series specifically for all the mods. Because, well, all the mods encompasses all the mods that we'll be using and reusing in tons of other mod packs. So instead of me using this experience to be like, look at this mod, and so on and so forth, we're going to use it just in a mod tutorial type aspect. Still going to be survival. I'm still going to play around in the world and obviously build large structures and kind of treat it as a more personal world that I can use to then teach you guys and girls how to use this mod, that mod, specific ways within this mod pack where I found, these 2 mods really mesh well together, such as productive bees and mystical agriculture, right? And then as far as this goes, this mega structure, this is going to be the mod center, the mod tutorial machine, whatever you want to call it. But basically, we're going to try and keep all of our tutorials and everything within this space so that way I can keep everything nice and clean and informative and all that kind of stuff. So again, if you did enjoy this video and the style of video, please comment down below future mods that you'd like for me to take a look at. I do already have one in mind that we'll be getting into hopefully in the near future. That being said, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time, guys and gals. And yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Until then, what does I always, what is it that I always say? Until next time, you beautiful, beautiful people. Peace out.